Hey everyone, hello and welcome back to Here Be Dragons.
Hey guys.
This week I am super excited to have with us a host of great guests that have kind of risen to the top of the supporters of this channel. And you know, every once in a while we like to take an opportunity to say thank you to our supporters and to acknowledge the community at large that we're endeavoring to build here. So joining me this week, as per usual, is Nessie and John, the regular co-hosts. But we're also got Kate, Dan, and Aaron. We'll go through one at a time and let you introduce yourselves. And Kate, we'll start with you. Welcome to Here Be Dragons. Tell the people who you are.
Wow. Well, I'm Kate Lisi, but you probably know me better as Kate Bertinsky. What else do you want to know? I don't have anything in terms of I'm not on YouTube. I don't have a channel, so
right.
Really, just my name. You probably recognize me from chats on a lot of different streams.
But as we've started our Slack group, you have been one of the more active participants in some of our extracurricular stuff. So I'm super happy. I've gotten to know you better, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the community getting to know you a little better as well. We also have Voice of Geekdom down there, aka Dan, aka T-Bone.
Hello guys, I'm Dan. I'm from England. And I'm a Tolkien geek, and it's good to be on, I guess. Yeah, what do you want to know?
Okay, so Dan, we'll get into the more specifics of it later, but you have some content you're about to be releasing, is that right?
Yeah, next week at some point, when I finish the edit, which I'm halfway there. So yeah, I haven't decided when, but next week I'm launching my new channel, Voice of Geekdom. It's going to be Tolkien content, primarily Silmarillion, and I want to get to do some Star Trek soon as well at some point, because I'm a big Trekkie as well, and maybe other bits and pieces eventually, lives like this. So this is a good experience for me. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm super excited about both Silmarillion and Star Trek content, so I'm here for it. And last but certainly not least, we have in the very bottom corner there, Aaron.
Hi, everybody. I'm Aaron. That's pretty much the only thing I go by, except for my Twitter, which is Lucky44, which nobody needs to follow because it's really dumb and lame, and I don't really tweet. But I'm obviously a fan of Here Be Dragons. I'm a patron of Nauticast and Joe Magician too. I create zero content. My only contribution to the fandom is to ask everyone tons of irritating questions about stuff and to also argue with John. So those are my main contributions to,
right.
Unless it's Lord of the Rings or A Knight's Tale or Stardust.
Yes, exactly. So we have a few things we agree upon, but other than that, we don't really. But I love to argue and debate and stuff and. Otherwise, but I don't actually create anything by myself. Creativity is not my strong suit. So instead I am the poker at your theories. Like, what about this? What about this? What about this? So yeah, but I'm very happy to be here. I love you guys and I'm excited to talk to everybody. So
right on. I'm going to answer Honor is a Horse's question and like sort of segue into how I know Aaron. Because I came to know Aaron through a Slack group that is Joe Magician's Slack that I'm a part of, that I'm in, and it was such a great and wonderful way for his community to interact that we started our own group. Slack is a social media platform that is intended for businesses to use, but it creates basically a curated group of people. Like, you have to be invited to join the group, but once in that group, we have all kinds of fun stuff that goes on in there. We have channels devoted to The Expanse, to A Song of Ice and Fire, to we've had Zoom hangouts, and we have channels where people, we call it the Blue Whatever Bar, where people just go and drink and hang out and have a good time. And Yeah. So if anyone if that sounds like something you'd want to join, you just need to get with me or Nessie or John, and we'll take it from there. Yeah. Don't forget the general. That's also true. There is just a general. There's a thirst channel. So if you want to see what we think are sexy pictures, come join the Slack group and look at that channel.
There is
Straight for work, but sexy.
There's a Slack channel for just about every interest,
Yeah.
and if there isn't one, we can make one. So,
Right.
It's just a wonderful way of continuing the chat, the live chat that we all come to enjoy every week. So you just get to continue talking to these lovely people all the time,
Right.
for 15 hours sometimes.
I believe there was a Zoom call that went for 14 hours or close to it. I wasn't there for the whole thing, but
Some of us were.
We can neither confirm nor deny that. Even.
right. But we've been having a lot of fun, and this stream is just meant to be an extension to have on friends, to get to know them better, to let the rest of the community see the people that I've grown closer to in the year of doing this channel. Some of them are newer friends. Some of them I've known longer than I've been doing the channel, but I'm just happy to have everyone here. So for you all in the chat, feel free to ask questions, not only of our guests, but I'm here, Nessie's here, John's here. Ask us questions. But I'm going to start by asking Kate a question. Kate, what was the thing that made you know you were a nerd?
Oh, that's a good one. I know a lot of people have the stories of when they were kids, but mine actually is probably closer to when I was 25, I think. So I was given the first Harry Potter book when it first came out. It was a gift, and I loved it. And I watched most of the movies all the way up, except I decided not to watch 7 and 8 because I wanted to read all the books first. I didn't read all the books as they came out. And so when I was 25, I finally said, okay, enough is enough. I bought the box set. I read them all cover to cover in 2 weeks, and I was officially a Potterhead. And I still am to this day. Love it so, so deeply. And then it just kind of spiraled from there. That's how I figured out that people make theory videos on YouTube. And then a few years later, I finally picked up Game of Thrones, even though it had been recommended to me many times before. I had never seen anything of the show. So 2018 was when I finally got on board with that. And so last year was when I really started getting into this fandom.
Right on. Well, we are lucky to have you as part of it because you always bring such a vigorous conversation in the chat. Week in, week out, you're one of those names that I see, and like that means the world to us. It really does. I'm going to have everybody here answer Anna's question. Any of you an otaku?
I don't know what
the
that
silence.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is.
I
don't even know what it is. Anna, I am probably the closest to being an otaku, but I am not technically. It's like a super fan of anime and Japanese culture.
Oh.
I do like some anime, but like I wouldn't consider myself the biggest. So anime is probably like the one geek thing that I really just don't do on the whole. I'm sorry. But I like a few things, but not really. I'm going to try to convince John on his channel to cover a couple of anime movies that I think actually would work great over on his channel. Maybe they'd work better here, but still.
Adding to the list that keeps growing.
Right.
The stuff I'm going to cover over there.
Yeah, you've got what, about 4 years worth of movies you can cover at this point?
Yeah, and then people keep suggesting more things, and I'm like, I promised Amy now a X-Men the animated series, stream or series of streams. So I'm trying to figure out when I can squeeze that in.
Somewhere, hopefully. All right, Dan, I'm going to skip you for a second while I go to Aaron and ask Aaron. Aaron, you, again, I met you through the Slack of Joe Magician. Mm-hmm. And I think you are probably one of the more hardcore A Song of Ice and Fire fans that I know that's not a content creator. And I have a deep personal connection with you in the fact that you're poking holes in people's theories. I'm kind of known for the same thing. So
Yeah.
did you come to poke holes in his theories and weren't able to, or just found that you could, but you didn't care because they were still hilarious?
No, actually, it's funny because I found I found A Song of Ice and Fire by myself in 2006 when I was at a bookstore, and one of the recommended staff picks was A Feast for Crows. And so I picked up, read the back, and was like, well, this kind of sounds cool. Like, let's get the first book in the series and let's give that a go. So I was before the show, A Song of Ice and Fire fan, so but I loved the show. I loved most of the show. But I found this whole area of the fandom actually because I read the sports blog Deadspin. Now RIP, old Deadspin. But Emmett Booth or Port Quentin did season 7 recaps there. And I loved his writing. I did not agree with him about Euron Greyjoy, which is going to blow everybody's mind that I didn't think Euron Greyjoy was a good character in the show. But I liked his writing so much. And I always was arguing with people about A Song of Ice and Fire on Deadspin and then on IO9 in the comments. And I just loved it. I loved doing that. And then when I followed Emmett on Twitter, then all of a sudden there was this guy called Brendan Beefish who was constantly rousing, and then I started seeing more and more people, and Matt was definitely one of them who was in these live streams that I was watching. And so I love creative thinking because I am not a creative thinker. I'm a very inside the box thinker in person. So Matt's theories, I think, really always speak to me because they're so logical, but they come completely out of left field. Like I never would have thought about that before he said it. And so I didn't come to poke holes in his theories, but once I sort of started getting a little bit more into the fandom and saw everyone else like just discussing and debating and stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is my place here, I think. So these are my people and my brethren here. So yeah, but it wasn't. I didn't come in meaning to argue, but I have found that sort of polite dissent is very welcome in this fandom, and so that makes me happy.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's a necessary service that we as skeptics provide to the fandom.
Yeah.
You didn't come here to argue, but you're happy to provide the service.
Yes, exactly. So I mostly just came here to listen to people talk, and instead I was like, ooh, but I have poking to do here. So yeah.
Right on.
With some people more than others.
Yeah, well, some people just have opinions that are wrong more than others, So.
Shots fired.
Must be tough to be those people, I guess.
that tension, y'all be careful. I'm gonna start shipping y'all.
Oh.
Well, we're very happy to have you, Aaron. But I am going to ask Dan something now. So I hope I'm not peeling back the curtain too far. You did say you're going to do coverage about the Silmarillion primarily, at least at first. Can you give us maybe some insight into not just what you're doing, but why you're choosing the format or structure that you are choosing?
Yeah, I can. So the format is going to be sort of 15, 20-minute lore videos, and they're going to be scripted. And my idea was to go through the book chapter by chapter and kind of explain things, and give little bits of my thoughts as we go through. And the idea is for sort of first-time readers, because I'm passionate about Tolkien, and the Silmarillion is a book that a lot of people don't get through the first time. So if I can help anybody sort of understand some of the themes, then I think I've done something good. So that was why I went with that format. And honestly, nobody knows me either. So if I just started doing long form content, then I don't think anybody would listen.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
No. I, as somebody who has a 2-hour conversation on camera every week, long format actually speaks to me quite a bit.
I like it. I like it as a obviously. I watch you, so as a consumer, I really like long form content, and I will probably do some of that as well. And the lovely Helen has offered to come on my channel as well when I'm up and running, so we'll probably have her on, and I'd love to have John on at some point. He's gone AFK for a minute, so he won't maybe hear this, but but yeah, I want to try and twist his arm and get him on as well.
Aaron.
And Aaron, you're a Tolkien nerd as well, right?
I'm actually, unfortunately, more that I'm obsessed with the movies, but I have not yet read the books. I'm sort of avoiding it because the movies are so pristine in my mind, but I do love to listen to content about the books. Like, I listen to Helen's stuff. I really need Helen to get her stuff on like a podcast format so I can just do audio instead of video as well. But I love listening to the content about it. I love, especially like I expect that your work will be of great interest to me because I do love the history and the lore and stuff that you don't really see in the movies or anything like that. But I find the background very interesting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing your stuff. So
I guess the other thing as well with going through the Silmarillion is we've got the Amazon show coming out at some point whenever they get to finish filming it. And you know, it'd be good for people that are interested in that to have a little bit more of an idea about the world, because it's going to be a prequel that's going to be thousands of years before the Middle Earth that we all know.
Did you watch the reunion this morning for the cast?
No, I haven't had time yet. I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
So good.
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm super looking forward to that myself.
It brought all kinds of feels for me, just the way it was done, because I mean, I think that is probably the first time we've seen that in that gathering of all those cast members since the movies were being made. And, you know, I liked that they used actual like music from the films to sort of back up the emotional moments. And yeah, and you could see all of them just still love each other just as much today as they did then. So I wrote on Twitter, no Lord of the Rings fan can really go without watching that. So make sure you guys check it out.
It's definitely on my watch later list.
It also just could not have been timed better for like a really, really sucky week. It's just so light and fun and uplifting. Like I was like, this whole week just really sucks. And then I watched that and I was like, okay, no, I'm much happier now. So.
Yeah, I hear that. There are a lot of friendships on that cast as well, aren't there?
Yeah.
Kate, what was it that you were showing just now?
This is my second impression of the adventures of Tom Bombadil.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I love it.
Beautiful artwork on there too.
It really is lovely. Yeah.
Right on. Well, Nessie, John, you got any questions for these folks while we have them sort of captive here?
Just Aaron, how does it feel to be wrong all the time?
I wouldn't know, John. So I'm actually right all the time. So it's really sad that you're so in such denial about that.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
okay. Well, we heard Aaron's introduction to like the deeper fandom, how she got here with the rest of us geeks. So how about Kate? How did you come to join us here in this madness?
It was January of last year. I was doing a puzzle. I wanted something that I could just throw on that I didn't really have to watch. And so I found some theory playlists on YouTube and I just started listening to theories. And I was like, wow, I missed so much in my first read of this series. And I just became obsessed. And I started watching and watching and watching years of back content from people like Robert and Deep Geek and Joe Magician eventually. Then through them, I got introduced to people like JR from Geek Chat 1, Gemma, Secrets of the Citadel, Kyle. I watched so many people, I can't even shut them all out. And then eventually that led me into the even deeper stuff, History of Westeros, Radio Westeros, those kinds of things. And then it was everything. It took over my life. Nothing but streams.
Right on. Yeah, that was a lot of our gateway. We don't want to say drug, but it is an obsession. Our gateway obsession into the fandom was people like History of Westeros, Radio Westeros. They're like the OG, like gold standard that everybody just aspires to. So,
yeah, when I want to be taken seriously, I name drop Aziz.
So how about you, Dan? What was your gateway into the deeper fandom?
Also in Deep Geek, actually, my countrymen. I was when season 8 finished and there was no more Game of Thrones, I reread the books because the first time round I read them very, very quickly because I had two housemates who had both read them all, and they were both talking about theories and things that hadn't happened yet for me. So I read them very, very quickly the first time round to avoid spoilers. So when the show finished, I reread the books, and I was looking for extra things and extra information, and I like the theories as well. We talked about Harry Potter before somebody did, and I used to when the Harry Potter books were a thing. I was also into theories about Harry Potter, so I love all that. So I was looking for theories, and I was looking for extra content and stuff that I could grab hold of, and I found in Deep Geek. I've watched a few other ones. I watched early on. I watched Lucifer, that guy, Lucifer Lightbringer or whatever he is.
Yeah.
I didn't like him as much.
I don't think you're alone in that.
Right. And I watched that Quinn guy as well, who I liked more, but he talked a lot about Lovecraft, and there's not that much Lovecraft in A Song of Ice and Fire, so I lost interest.
Ooh, those are fighting words for poor Quentin and for Joe Magician too. So
no, I know. I mean, I don't mean it that way, of course, but yeah, I got really into In Deep Geek because I really liked the Traveler's Guide series. I thought that was fantastic. And then I found Aziz and people like that later, and Kyle. Kyle's great as well. I like him. So yeah, and then the community is great as well. So I stuck around for the community, really.
Yeah, that's what sucked me in too. Was just the great sort of people that tended to congregate in this circle. Not everybody, mind you. Like with any group of people, there's bound to be someone that rubs you the wrong way, but the majority of them have been fantastic, and I've all present company included, of course. So Anna's got a great question though. If you had to choose Star Trek or Star Wars?
I don't think I could live without either one, personally.
That's cheating.
But I grew up a Trekkie, more so, slightly. So I would have to go with Trek, I think.
Okay, I think that's a fair answer. I think it's the wrong answer. Star Wars is obviously the right answer, but
the man says he's going to make Star Trek content, so I think he kind of, let it slip a little earlier there.
Yeah, I mean, what is the question? What do we do? Are we erasing it from history, or do we have to give it up forever so it still exists? But I need specifics really, because I can't actually lose either one.
You're just trying to game this. You're trying to game the system, Dan.
Yeah.
Well,
but I'm interested to hear what the rest of everybody else has to say.
I mean, it could be Sophie's choice. You don't know.
I refuse the premise of this question.
It refused the premise of the question.
You cannot.
I just did.
Well,
it's real easy for me. It's Star Wars 100%. I am a fantasy person. I am really not a sci-fi person in general. Unfortunately, the idea that sci-fi is built on, that like a lot of sci-fi, not all, but like the Earth is like not inhabitable or no longer here is just a depressing non-starter for me. So sort of the whole beginning of it is just a big pass for me. But Star Wars allows you to maybe believe that Earth was never there in the first place. So that's a lot easier for me to get past than Star Trek, which is basically, So yeah, I don't mind Star Trek. I like the sort of cheesier old episodes and stuff like that. But yeah, so super easy for me, Star Wars.
It's super easy for me too to have the right answer because I've never seen Star Trek. All about the Star Wars.
Nessie, did you answer?
Did I answer?
Yeah.
No, I did not answer. I think, it's fairly, clear where my love lies, but I do admit without Star Trek, there would be no Star Wars.
I don't know if I think
it was like such a huge influence. Just, hey, there's a lot of people out there that like to watch this kind of stuff, so I give it its props, and there's a lot about Star Trek that I love.
I just lost a flower.
Oh, boo. But, I like the hope. I like the hope that Star Trek gives, like the Earth, that we're not going to completely destroy it. We're actually going to get our crap together at some point and, come together as one people and one planet. And that's just a lovely dream to have. So, kudos.
Hold on. I'm just going to let that hang on that. Peadar got there too, almost as quickly.
Well played.
Wow.
Bravo, gentlemen. Bravo.
So, no, I won't live without them both. So, no.
I mean, I obviously understand the draw of both series, but 6-year-old me basically has no reason to exist if there's no Star Wars. So I think I have to go with Star Wars.
And see, I didn't even really come into Star Wars obsession until when was that? I was about 13 years old. And I think prior to that, I had grown up on, the Star Trek films. And so Kirk and Spock especially meant a lot to me. But then, of course, Star Wars came in and, that shaped a lot of my geekdom. No pun intended. And so, yeah, it's both. It's like, depending on my mood, I could pick one or the other. But when you get right down to it, I would need both in my life. I don't think I could go without either.
That's because we're
right,
greedy.
John, if you're going to dodge the question twice, I won't throw it at you a third time. Okay, so again, chatters, feel free to throw up questions. We'll get to them if one of us notices. I'm trying to keep a good eye on the chat today too.
Yeah.
So I have a follow-on question for you, Dan. At some point recently, you got to a place where you said, I'm going to start making content now.
Yeah.
Can you maybe articulate what got you to that point, why you decided you needed to make this content?
Having lots of free time, it didn't hurt.
Fair.
Because, what's going on in the world. And just hanging out with Helen and contributing to her channel just kind of gave me the bug, I suppose. So, yeah, I don't know, really. It's something I'd thought about for quite a long time, actually. But it was always at the back. And then now it's at the front more.
Maybe now that you're doing your own stuff, the Helen will make time for me again.
Those fighting words.
That's not fair because I'm the one who needs to make the time since I apparently decided it was a good idea to do a million different things.
Oh, it's time consuming. It's quite understandable, isn't it?
It takes way more time than you think it would, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got to prep first.
Yeah, it was just interesting because we did that stream on the cycle of fandom and how you consume it, and then at some point you move to the creator part of it. So it's just, interesting to see what, thought processes. I know what made me do it. It's just interesting to hear from, other people what they're.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to make content that I would watch myself. Really, that's. I'm getting a weird echo on the line. Is anyone else hearing that?
Nessie's lagging out.
I think she's dropped out.
So go ahead, Dan. What were you saying?
Yeah, I really want to make content that I would watch myself. So theories, lore videos that go into little bits of kind of personal kind of interpretations. I love anything that's just somebody's kind of tangential thoughts about a theme, and I really want to share what I think about Tolkien, because I've been reading it all my life, and Tolkien is the main thing that I want to get across to people. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, really.
Right on. I think the Silmarillion is a great place to start because I think it's not the easiest book to understand.
No, it's not. But it's chock full of information. So if you do go through it, bit by bit, there's loads of stuff in there to mine. I've just done a video on the first chapter, which is about the creation myth of the world of Middle Earth, of Arda, as it is.
To be released very soon on the Voice of Geekdom channel.
And that chapter alone, there was so much stuff which just got left on the cutting floor.
So you've got stuff for a second video even on the first chapter, huh?
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move on because because I have to. But and if I want to target first time readers, then obviously I need to keep the pace up. So
right. So Aaron, I'm sorry, guys. I hope I'm not cutting you off, Dan. If you still have more thought, please continue.
No. Peadar has a question though here.
I do just want to interject real quick and say that Dan has offered to come on my channel to talk about the 1977 animated Hobbit film, and I'm quite psyched about that.
Yes, I know you're a rather busy man and you're in demand these days, but yeah, I would love to do that with you because I've not watched it since I was at school. I watched it in English class at school.
Yeah, same here.
So I in my year 7 English class, which is like grade 7 in America, we studied The Hobbit because my teacher was a Tolkien nerd. So he instantly became my favorite teacher because I'd already read The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit multiple times by then. So yeah, that was great.
Right on. Well, I'm very looking forward to it because I have read the Silmarillion, but I have not understood the Silmarillion. Let's just say that. But I want to get the ladies in on the conversation too.
We did. I think I interjected before you could ask Peadar's question.
Oh, you're right. What was Peadar's question?
Here it is.
I read all of the poetry except for the one Galadriel poem, which is all in Elvish, because I can't read Elvish.
For shame. For shame.
And if you
Jeez, Dan.
Call yourself a Tolkien fan?
I was going to say, Geek Card's about to get revoked.
I don't think you have to be fluent in Sindarin to be a legit Tolkien nerd.
Yeah, we don't do the gatekeeping thing. We really don't. But I will troll you about it a little bit.
I do know quite a bit about the languages because a lot of the locations and names and things are, direct translations. So you pick up on bits. But yeah, reading that poem is tricky. But if you are skipping the poetry, I'd say you're missing parts. You're missing a lot of good stuff. The Beren and Luthien poem, which is in Lord of the Rings, is absolutely wonderful. And it's got a really intricate meter, and it's just, and he spent years writing it as well. So you're definitely missing a lot.
Yeah, I might go back and reread it with you. So, Aaron, the very first question I asked to Kate was, when did you know? What was the thing that let you know you were a nerd? I would like to hear the same answer from you now.
Oh, so it's a little bit more difficult for me because I think I knew I was something else before I knew what the name of it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I have always been, this isn't a very kind word to call it, but like I struggle to think of a better one. But I've always been obsessive about things. I've always been very, whatever I liked it to the nth degree. Like, I always wanted to learn as much as I could about it, as much as anyone would give me, as much, like, to the point where, like, I think my mom, like, was starting to think about putting me in therapy for a while because I just get so fixated and so obsessed with one thing, and not, like, never to the detriment of my body, or it's not like I wouldn't eat or anything, you know what I mean? But, like, so I knew that I knew there was, like, that part of me, right, that, so I knew that I knew there was, okay. And so that was kind of the probably what I would say was my gateway, was that anytime I would get into something, I would get into it to like the max. And then I learned that that's what nerds do. And so I was like, oh, right. So that's what I am, like, it was like, that was finally, there was a thing to call it. And rather than just obsessive, which again doesn't make me sound awesome. It just makes me sound like I was, in a cubby hole, reading shit and not eating or anything. But so that was kind of, I loved books about horses. I read every book about horses, all the Black Beauty novels. They're not all great, and looking back on them, they're not real good, with a lot of racial issues either and stuff. But I read all that stuff. I read The Secret Garden. Narnia was probably like my first nerd property that I was absolutely obsessed with. Although I was too little to really understand all the Jesus allegory, so that might be why. So so there, I guess that was probably the most familiar nerd property. But it was more that I was just super into things before I, like I said, then finally I learned what to call it. So,
right on. So it's a lifelong thing for you.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And like I said, neither of my parents are really very like that. So it was interesting that I sort of ended up that way, and I don't think either of them always knew how to deal with that. Like, do we make her go outside? Do we, like, what should we do here? I loved to read. I also loved to play sports too. So like I had a different side of me as well that I think was probably the only reason they didn't send me to a therapist, because they were like, oh, but she has friends and plays sports too. She just also reads for 14 hours sometimes. So yeah.
I think that if you're going to have a flaw, reading too much is probably one of the better ones to have.
Definitely. And it's also my only flaw, obviously. So.
Clearly. So, Kate, what are your flaws?
Oh, man. Also reading too much. Being too perfect.
Okay. Yeah, can vouch for that.
Yeah. Being too organized.
Oh, boo.
Okay, now I think that's a thing that really can be a flaw. As a person who embraces chaos in a general way, I think being too organized can be a real flaw, even though you're saying it like it's not.
Well, I want to be a librarian, so by default, I have to be good at organizing things.
Right? So why would you want? Okay. What is it about being a librarian that attracts you?
Working with books instead of people.
I mean, that's a short and sweet answer, but I can kind of understand it.
I can absolutely understand it.
Do you have a favorite book, Kate?
Oh, there's your Sophie's choice.
Right.
I don't know that I do have a favorite book. There's so many that I love for so many reasons, but Harry Potter is always a safe answer. I think my favorite of the series is probably Goblet or Half-Blood Prince. So.
Okay.
Your house is on fire. You can only save one.
Oh. I don't like you anymore, Nessie.
Guys, I think we just broke Kate.
Be honest, you don't like her any less either.
Cannot compute.
Okay, I'll give you 5. You can have 5 books.
5
quickly because they're all good together.
5 of the Harry Potter books, or just 5 books in general?
5.
Oh, 5 books. Okay. Yeah, Harry Potter, as previously mentioned. I would probably save maybe this one because it was a gift from my dad, and the text block is from 1687. It's a copy of The Destruction of Troy. So it's just, as an artifact, very sentimental. What else have I got? This is only a legitimate fraction of my books.
Well, these are the ones you have out, so I figure these are the ones that you like.
Well, I have more out. This is just the concentration of the geek shelves. There's a lot more around, and then I have some in storage as well. I've got 900 books. Oh man, I don't even know. I've read so many books.
Yeah. Well, I lost my entire library. So, it's okay, what do you replace first? That's another question. But yeah, so it's pretty meaningful. If you could save only just a handful of books, what would they be? Me, I mean, I know what books I would have grabbed a hold of, but yeah. So hardback edition, Mist of Avalon. Oh.
Sorry, I'm just gonna get a little tissue to wipe a tear from my eye here on that one, Nessie. So.
John, were you about to ask something?
No, I would just want to know what Nessie's 5 books were.
Okay, well, that was number 1. Then I had another signed first edition. Laurel K. Hamilton. So, I have to have
break for Mary Gentry.
Guilty pleasures, little old lady porn, and it was also a gift. It was also a gift from one of the first things my husband ever gave me. Let's see. Then I would have. So many. Then I would have to have the Harry Potter, the Half-Blood Prince, which was my favorite out of the series, which my daughter and I read together. Then I would have the first 3 books that I ever bought with my own money, which were the Brian Daley Star Wars Han Solo adventures. They were the first 3 books that I ever I used my money to get at the book fair. So yeah. I've had them.
I'm going to give a quick answer to this myself. I would say this book right here, 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook from my high school days. This is the one
one.
It's the one I played back in high school. I would grab this one, and then I would also grab this book right here, George R. R. Martin, The World of Ice and Fire, which I have taken to the convention. And I don't know if I've ever showed this on camera before, but I'm going to right now, which I have had signed by all the content creators I've met at conventions. So yeah, it's kind of like the yearbook thing in my in this one. So I would save those 2 and then 3 other books.
The first 3 come to hand. Yeah.
Right. Whatever I grab.
Yeah, I think for me it would be obviously first 3 would be The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, and The Silmarillion, and then The Killer Angels by Michael Shara, and A Storm of Swords.
I actually don't believe you. I believe your arms would be filled only with DVDs, and that you would never bother to save any books.
Well, okay, but that's not the discussion we were having.
Question.
It would just be DVDs all the way. There'd be no books in there.
No, actually, I can honestly say, though, I would give preference to Tolkien's novels over any DVDs in my possession.
I was a little surprised that you didn't say the like the movie guide to the Lord of the Rings.
No, well, but I have to make room for those other books, particularly the Killer Angels, which is just one of my favorite books of all time because I'm a huge history buff, and I love the movie Gettysburg as well, which is based off of that. So I definitely would need that book, and and I have to make room for some George R. R. Martin, and A Storm of Swords is just like the cream of the crop there. So
I would say the only reason that I wouldn't save my copies of the Song of Ice and Fire series is because they're all secondhand and very cheap and very easily replaceable. So yes, first edition signed things and the really old, irreplaceable items.
Yep.
Right on.
I feel you, Kate. Everything can be replaceable except what can't. So yeah, now it would be my all of my Song of Ice and Fire editions, hardback editions that my children bought me for Christmas because they love their mother. So
Oh, nice.
I just wanted everybody to say hi,
hi.
Peachy.
hi.
Peachy.
Hi, Peachy.
Beth is another one of our longtime supporters. And Peachy is her daughter, who we gave Beth and her daughter 35 pounds of Legos that had just been taking up space in our closet. So I know that they both are big Lego heads, which I was when I was a kid, and we're glad to see you, Peachy. I'm glad you could be here.
yeah, Mom's great.
Excuse me.
But you know this.
All right, y'all. Well, we've been going for about 45 minutes, and there is a second group. So, chatters, if you have any questions for these fine folks, get them in now. But I do have one thing I want to make sure that I get to with Dan before the end, and that is, Dan, you make video games for a living. Do you have any idea how jealous that makes me?
And I have no idea how jealous it makes you. No.
I will write a strongly lettered word that will explain it.
Yeah, I mean, did you have a question about that, or
No, just you do work in the video game industry. What do you do?
Sort of, yeah. I'm a Unity developer. It's called, which is a game engine, one of the biggest ones, and it's cross-platform. And actually, it's not terribly glamorous because I do a lot of mobile games, which isn't everybody's cup of tea. I did used to work for somebody quite famous, though, in the games industry, which I can talk about. And I also do a lot of virtual reality stuff as well, which can be good.
Virtual reality games are not there for me yet. Sometimes I still get but I think the technology is getting there, and I'm really looking forward to not VR, but AR games are the ones that really are exciting to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of good possibilities with AR gaming as well because it opens up new gameplay mechanics as well in that medium. There's a lot of applications that you could have actually with role-playing games as well. I think with AR stuff. Instead of having figurines, have AR stuff in the real space. I'd love to do something like that one day.
Oh yeah, I would love to play something like that one day. I mean. RPGs are like my intro to tabletop gaming, and some of my favorite video games have also been RPGs, Skyrim and Fallout and that type of thing. So,
I do want to answer this question real quick. I mean, as much as I've gone on and on about Dark Crystal recently, it's The Princess Bride. Come on. I mean, that's just one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's,
don't know that it's even close for me.
I'm glad you ended the for you because it was close. I'm not saying it wasn't, but Princess Bride has gotten me through many a sick day. So,
Kelly, Jaded Redhead, asked a question, but I can't find it. Kelly, she said she had a question for Dan, but I can't scroll up far enough to find it.
Oh, I did see one early on that was about football. What you
Okay,
would call soccer, but I don't.
Don't you mean soccer?
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't remember what the question was now because it's.
So who is your football team?
Well, Kelly and I support the same team actually, which is why she was asking. I think.
Yeah, she just wants you to hype her team for her on the stream.
I think so. Yeah.
It's fine. You should do it.
Yeah, Chelsea Football Club. Go the Blues.
just want to say hi, Scott.
Yeah,
And
hi,
nice to
Scott.
have you.
Thanks for coming by, man. Appreciate it. It's always nice to see you. Scott, a well-known mod for History of Westeros, who I can't even think History of Westeros without getting like the heart eyes emoji in my head. So, love those guys. Yeah. So yeah, chat. Make sure to get your questions in. We don't have a whole lot of time left with these guests.
I know it's really absurd how fast the hour has gone.
It really is. Like each of you, I'm sure we could have an extended conversation where we really sat down and got to know you a lot better. And if that's something any of you are interested in, we'll work you into the schedule.
I do have a book recommendation that I would like to make, if that is okay.
Absolutely.
With everybody. So, because I know a lot of people here like A Song of Ice and Fire. Nessie, I know that you and Shar both like the romance novels, like I do the paranormal romance novels. A book series I don't think really gets enough play, particularly among women, but I think men would probably enjoy it as well. It's Jacqueline Carey is the author. And you can obviously tell this is like a really well-loved book. The whole spine is taped and stuff. The first one is called Kushiel's Dart. And
Hold on, I'm going to enlarge you real quick, Aaron. Hold that up again. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's obviously very well-loved. So
Right.
this is the first book, and there's in the universe there's 3 trilogies. The first trilogy is my favorite, but huge caveat: if you are squeamish about sex, or particularly please don't make any inferences about me from this, but particularly BDSM, this is not the book for you. It is not something that you would be interested in reading, but it also, again, it's like Game of Thrones. It's big and sprawling, and it's also kind of a romance novel, and it's also an alternate history. I'm more of a fantasy fan. It's definitely, like I said, I don't do sci-fi really, but it's like an alternate history where it's like, it's alternate history France, basically. And Jesus and his disciples were like real gods who like split up France, and kind of, they all have these different like provinces, and they all have these different things. And like, the main character is a courtesan, but she ends up going on all these adventures and like going to all these different places. It's also, I'm really into women who fight. This is the opposite of that. This is a woman whose superpower is compassion, and whose superpower like is her brain. She never really picks up a sword in the whole series. But Jacqueline Carey is a beautiful, beautiful writer. And this is it's just, like I said, it's politics, it's romance, it's alternate history, it's everything in kind of one package. And I just don't think I don't really hear people talk about it very much, but these are my favorite books, even more so than A Song of Ice and Fire. These are my favorite books. Right. So they are, again, though, they're problematic like Game of Thrones is in some ways, but they're definitely worth picking up if anyone is interested. There's just been a lot of times when I hear people, especially in this stream, talk about books that I was like, I really feel like people would like these books. So yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to give that little plug to Jacqueline Carey, who I think is the best.
I think that's exactly the reason why we had you on, Aaron, is to share the things you love. So
yeah, Aaron,
by all means.
can you in the Slack write down the title and author of that, so I can check it out. Also, I wanted to piggyback on the mention of old tattered books, and I pulled out. This is actually my first edition of the Fellowship of the Ring that I read, and it's it's worn down. The pages have had it. I obviously I don't read from this one anymore because I want to keep it at least in as good condition as it might still be. But it is well loved, and I'm going to be holding on to this to the end of days.
Right on.
When you've got a paperback that you're holding together with like paper clips to keep the front on, and there's just like everything, the spine is all cracked to hell. Yeah, you've really loved that book.
Yeah, sorry, Beth. I didn't mean to be like, hey, I want to talk about these textbooks while your daughter's in the room. So my bad.
Beth knows the score. So I'm going to give all of you a chance to answer Anna's question here as well. Are you more of a fantasy or a science fiction fan? You clearly said you were a fantasy fan,
yeah.
Aaron.
Super. Yep.
What about you, Dan?
This may surprise you, but actually probably I would lean slightly towards sci-fi.
Okay.
I think overall. Because there are a few standout series that I love in fantasy, but I think I spend more time in sci-fi world overall. Right
on. Kate?
I would definitely say fantasy, but science fiction is making its way into my collection, and I'm enjoying it.
Right on. John?
I don't think I can answer that. No, I won't.
Yeah.
Fantasy, absolutely.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me to hear you say that. What about you, Nessie? Also fantasy, I'm assuming?
Well, it just depends on what time of my life that you would have asked me this question, because I go through fits and phases where I just consume everything sci-fi, everything fantasy, everything. It just depends on what time in my life you hit me. Like I loved everything that Isaac Asimov wrote. I read everything from iRobot through Foundation series, and just that wonderful that just like, oh my God, when I finally got to the end and they converged together, I was like, oh my God, George, read these books so that you can finish. But yeah, Isaac Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke, even as problematic as he is, Robert Heinlein, I read like a ton of his stuff when I was younger. And then I got into Dragon Riders of Pern, so that just ticked my fantasy button, and then away we go from there. So it just depends. It just depends on what phase of my life that I was in at the time. Like currently, I'm reading the Expanse books, which wonderfully well written books, for science fiction. So yeah, I just back and forth, wax and wane. I mean, if we're honest, that's pretty much how most of us are.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, both are legitimate media and or genres, and I think I would have a hard time choosing as well. Like, I read fantasy to think about the kind of person I want to be, because that tends to be the type of stories that are in that setting. But I read or consume sci-fi to think about the world I would want to live in, because that's what sci-fi does so well. Now, the best can do both at the same time, and maybe there's some blurring of genres, but if I had to pick one, I think I would pick science fiction.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't really elaborate on my choice that much, but I think I've always found it really appealing to journey off into imaginary worlds, and so kind of get me away from reality. That's what I find compelling. So and
the best can do both.
That's true.
Right.
Science fantasy is awesome.
It's interesting that you said about the blurring of genres as well, because that's immediately what I thought after I finished speaking when I gave my answer, because there is that element as well, isn't there? because I thought sci-fi, Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, what a great book. But what is it? What genre does that fit into? Because it's both, is it not?
Yeah, I think so.
And Star Wars, even Star Wars. What is Star Wars?
Perfect example. Yeah.
Star Wars is much more fantasy than science fiction to me.
I think so.
Clearly both. There's clearly elements of both. Well, y'all, that's an hour. Is there anything else, any of the three of you, Kate, Dan, Aaron, anything else you want to make sure we bring up before we go to the mid-roll and get on the second group?
No, I need to go have a drink. I need some OJ.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to throw at least one
drinking with me. Don't tell me you were drinking with me, Kate. Come on.
This is water, okay?
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, very good. I'm going straight for the rum, personally.
Good call.
Sorry, I couldn't leave without trolling John just once.
And this is why we had you, Kate.
I support it.
Yeah. Here for it. Okay. Well, with that being said, I think we will say goodbye to the three of you. Kate, Dan, Aaron, thank you so much for joining
Thank you,
us.
guys.
Thank you for having us.
Checked off.
Right on. Well, thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, all. And we're going to
Bye.
head to the mid-roll. I'm going to make sure to the people who are in the second group, I have just now sent the links to your email addresses, and we will get you added in. In the meantime, we're going to do the mid-roll. Thanks, everybody who came out to show support, not just for me and John and Nessie, but for the larger community who we're showcasing today. Thanks for coming. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm not we're not a group of people who's all about the numbers, but we do want to reach an audience. We want to be able to reach the people that want to consume this comment. And the best way to do that is for people who enjoy it to hit the like, to subscribe, to share it around. And we would really appreciate you doing that. Also, big shout out to our Patreon supporters, including Lord John Bronsteen the Wise, the only member of the High Council so far. But much love to John Bronte. He's been on a couple of times and might have some more content coming soon. Hi, Amy. We'll get to you in just a moment.
Hey, Amy.
Hey.
We've got a shout out Sixto Sounds, aka JP, guitar master extraordinaire and good personal friend of mine. Also, the old school big man on campus, ridiculous Ed Tollett. Always here, buddy. Love you, man. And we thank all of our patrons for continuing to show their support. Coming up next week on Here Be Dragons, we will have I Know That Nerd with Pat Sponagle. If you don't know who that is, I mean, I understand you're like, who is that? It doesn't make a whole lot of content on his own, but he is pretty famous in the online community as a very intelligent, caring, and thoughtful man. And he's also extremely funny. He runs maybe the best fake account on Twitter. And we're going to get into that too.
I would just say that, I love you to death, Stephen. You know this, but full disclosure, Pat was probably the first person who really sort of reached out his hand in like open friendship, just like barely, knowing who I was. And I think I was commenting, I had made some comments online, and he just all of a sudden said, John, I haven't, met you at any of the previous cons, but I really look forward to correcting that next time. And, and that was just out of the clear blue sky. So, he's a wonderful guy, and it's going to be a really great stream.
Completely agree. I'm super psyched to have him on. We did a panel together at Con of Thrones last year, and it was my favorite panel I've ever done. Nessie, what do you got coming up? Oh, sorry, Nessie. John, what do you got coming up? We'll get back to you in a second, Nessie.
Yeah, first I want to plug a stream I just did because it was a really big one, and I'm very proud of it, which I did with the wonderful Emmett from Nauticast on the film Blade Runner 2049, which to my mind is an absolute masterpiece that doesn't, it doesn't get enough on online talk, in my opinion, so I wanted to do that. And Emmett was so great. And I was so happy to find someone who had enjoyed the film and would talk to me. And then I found out that he and I were like of the exact same mind on so many things about the film. So that was a lot of fun. So please check that out on my channel. And this coming week, I'll be talking with the lovely Emma Smith about the 2015 film Carol. So that's going to be great. And she says she already has like 3 pages of notes that like aren't even about the plot of the film. So I'm excited to just unleash her on you all.
Prepare to have your mind blown when you have Emma as a guest.
Speaking of which,
Emma, Nessie, what do you got?
Emma's going to be a busy little girl this week because she's going to be coming on my channel on Wednesday to blow all of your minds on symbolism and mythology of unicorns. So we're going to be continuing the little jaunt into the magical menagerie with unicorns and elephants. And for any of you that made it to Con of Thrones last year and happened to stop by a certain panel that myself and Emma and Bronte and Kurt Kuhlman were doing, you might hear a few familiar things, but we never, ever had the time to really dig deep into it. Emma and we have tons of notes that we never even got to. So yeah, we're going. Thanks, Peadar. Good advice to have. So yeah, come on by for that, and hopefully 2 weeks after that, a certain up and coming content creator is going to be sharing the stream with me. Maybe
we'll get to that in a minute.
Maybe, yeah. So we'll be continuing with the magical menagerie. Okay,
cool. So lots of good content that we've got coming up for you guys in the not too distant future. Got Nessie on Wednesday, John on Thursday, Here Be Dragons again next Sunday. And I look forward to having you all join us for all of those. I will attempt to make it to all of those. I can't swear that I will. I think I have to work some afternoons this week, so we'll see. All right. Well, second half. And we got a whole new panel of guests. Well, not a whole new panel of guests. A couple of the real regulars in the Slack group. Oh, Slack group. Again, I just want to make sure I say it out loud. We have a Slack group, and it is awesome. And that is how I'm getting to know not only the guests we just had, but also the guests we're about to have right now. And it has changed the way that I get to engage with the supporters of this channel, and we're just all becoming like just friends, and it's great. So if you would like to be a part of that, you just need to get with me, get with Nessie, get with John through our various social media contacts, and we will we'll take care of it from there. All right, so new guests. We've got Kelly and we've got Amy, who are already like friends outside of the Here Be Dragons group. As I understand it, you guys have known each other for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, we met in the History of Westeros live stream chats, I think, right, Kelly?
Yeah.
And we've been, I think our friendship started with Kelly just making great puns that make me roll on the floor laughing, and because they're so bad and yet so good at the same time. So I think her puns are really what drew me to her. And I was creeping on the History of Westeros chat for a while, and then I was like, who's this jaded redhead? She's fun. And so I started interacting with her and a couple of other people on there. And yeah, I call you guys my friends. So maybe sometimes fandom friends, just to be more specific. But I hope that we've all become friends now. So
Right on. So yeah, I guess I should have let you introduce yourselves first. Kelly, say hi.
Hi,
Where do
everybody.
we know you from?
Oh gosh, mostly the live stream chats, and you might know me on Twitter and Instagram, Jaded Redhead.
Right.
Twitter is Bonnie Lass Lowry, and Lass is with one S because it wouldn't let me put the second S in.
Not
so
enough.
Bonnie
Right.
Lass Lowry. Yes, Lowry being my last name.
Yeah, I remember when I started following you on Twitter, and it wasn't long after that you posted a picture you drew of I think a Tully River boat
Yes.
that had like accurate rigging and all of that stuff because boats, and we will get into because boats, I am sure. Puns, history, and boats, as Leaf says, which are probably the three words that would come most to mind when I think of you as well, Kelly.
Those words can summon me. Yeah.
do you have to say them 3 times like Beetlejuice?
No, definitely not.
But you do have to say all three.
Maybe just boats. Boats, ships, anything nautical.
And then we also are going to be joined by Amy.
Yes.
Well, kind of the baby in our Slack group. Not
I
the
am
baby.
still young. I am still close to the youngest, aren't I?
I do respect you as a full-grown woman. You are not the baby. You are just the youngest.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm glad that you've given me that recognition, and now I'm more confident in myself.
Yeah, you didn't need my help for that. I already know.
Yeah, but she makes the rest of us feel incredibly immature when she talks about all her studies and everything that she does. It's quite intimidating.
Well, that's just because I want you guys to be impressed with me, obviously. So.
I didn't get that memo. just went with the puns.
Right? Puns are also acceptable.
Yes.
So do you want me to introduce myself then, Stephen?
You can.
Yeah, hi, I'm Amy. I'm Amy L in the chat. I am going to soon become a hashtag content creator with some blog posts. I study Chinese literature, so I'm going to be looking at non-Western mythology and imagery in Aswaf. So I'm Amy Blackfire on Twitter. That's AEMY, and of course Blackfire with a Y. If you don't have Twitter, then you can just follow me on my blog because then I have it connected there. So that's aswafchineselit.wordpress.com. So shameless plug.
Right. Scott Wortman is saying she knows so much about China, which, yeah, I've been exposed to how much she knows about China already through the Slack. And it's actually pretty great. I'm just saying, like, as somebody who, I mean, I'm not a world historian or a linguist or anything, but I am intellectual and I can appreciate most intellectual undertakings. And it's always nice to meet someone who knows their subject and what they're talking about, be that boats or China. You know, you guys need to get together and work on a Chinese boats video.
You know, I really would love to talk about that female pirate.
Yes, we were just
t-shirt,
talking about
so.
this in the Slack.
Because I don't know crap about boats or nautical history, but I am very interested in Chinese piracy. So
there is a lot of substance there as well, where those two cross.
Right?
I am here for it.
Yeah, I would love that.
Give me the Chinese piracy history.
Well, I'm gonna start then with
What about a pirate queen who is captain of a ship of Chinese pirates that in a
Shameless Keira Knightley plug.
in a certain Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
oh,
That
has it really been that long since he's brought up Kieran?
Bringing it all together.
that starred Kira what's her face, right?
Yeah.
It's Kira Kanichli, right?
You're close.
Wasn't she like Queen Padawan in that Star movie?
See, this is the type of thing that happens in the Slack group too. So you could be a part of that.
Unlimited trolling.
Oh yeah, I definitely. We get to make fun of John and be happy and still all be friends, right, John?
Yeah, you say that, but you're a member. You're a member of the Order of the
Oh yes,
Knights
I am
of
the
Kira.
Order of the Knights of Kira. I am absolutely being sarcastic. I'm not as obsessed with Kira as John is, but she is absolutely my queen. So
Right on. Well, Nessie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I was gonna turn it over to you. I was gonna turn it over to you to talk to Amy about, monkeys and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Hi.
yeah.
Amy
So,
has some content coming soon. Brand
I do.
new content.
yeah, sorry, Nessie, go ahead.
it's fine. I mean, I just have been discussing these things with Amy in the Slack, and we've talked about her love of all things Eastern, and particularly we were discussing a certain little demon monkey.
Yes, pulling the puppet strings in King's Landing. Yeah.
That's pulling all the strings. So yes, as part of the upcoming Magical Menagerie, we're going to dive deep into the twisted monkey demon of Sun Wukong. So, hey, everybody, if you haven't got any idea what we're talking about, there's some, what's the movie? Journey to the West would be like a good place to start.
Yeah, so Journey to the West was originally a Chinese novel from the 1500s, and it's been adapted in video games, shows, movies. And the Monkey King, Swan Wukong, Wukong means sudden kind of enlightenment and emptiness, which are two huge, or awakening or enlightenment, two huge Buddhist concepts. It's a fun story, and it's also, the Monkey King himself is quite a character who has been, I think, seen throughout history after obviously its first creation in the novel, and he keeps popping up. If you've seen Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, Goku has the monkey's tail. He rides on a cloud. This is all what the Monkey King does. So it's pop culturally in other places in Asia, taken on and adapted. And I think what Nessie and I are really going to focus on too is then what is Demon Monk calling Tyrion a demon monkey, especially the small folk calling him that? What is that doing? And then of course it comes in with a question of monstrous births and, looking like a demon monkey. Oh, is he a Targaryen? So we'll get to talk about a lot of stuff like that. So, but I think that obviously with ET, we know that Martin is not unaware, obviously, of China, and he is interested in kind of the themes and the motifs that come out of Asian literature and Asian mythology. So,
yeah, I personally
all that she said.
Yeah, I personally love Sun Wukong as a character. Like, he literally outsmarts the Emperor of Heaven more than once. He is more Loki than Loki. He does whatever he wants, and he always gets away with it.
Yes.
And if you want a place to start, people that are watching on Netflix, there's an Australian rendition from, I believe, 2017 that's called Legends of Monkey. And of course they changed things, but the same basic premise. He was imprisoned by the Buddha because he was wreaking havoc in heaven, and they have to go to the West to get Buddhist scrolls to bring it back to save the morality of China. The usual,
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just can't have a monkey god of chaos just running around. You just can't have that.
And if any of you guys are thinking, oh, monkey god, where have I seen that? He's also a play on Hanuman from Hindu mythology as well, who was the Monkey King, and his father was the wind god. So they think there's a big connection there with Sun Wukong being able to fly around and like that. But I don't want to just talk about this, obviously, but I'm very excited.
Put a bow on that. I don't want you to give away all the give it all away before you write the essay. We want people to go read the essay when it's done, or if you make it into a video format, we want them to watch it there. But
I'm going to unleash Amy on you guys to talk about all of these wonderful things. So
yeah, so for now I'm going to bottle it up, and then I'm just going to release it on Nessie. So
yeah, I think that's the appropriate use. So
yeah, I'm for it.
Oh, also, I'm sorry, I did want to do a shout out. Hi, Mom. Welcome to your first live stream. This is what it is, and this is how it works.
Hi, Mom.
I hope you are enjoying it.
She's probably very confused by most of the stuff we've been talking about, but she can tell we're happy, and I'm sure that makes her happy.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we do here. We are people who enjoy similar things, and we're just sharing that and trying to make a positive space that's accepting of everyone, except for pirates. No piracy allowed. Yeah. So Kelly.
Yes.
One of the first time I ever heard your name, I think it was from Aziz quoting stuff that you emailed to him about boats.
Yes.
This right here. Yes.
This was shortly after the Sun Chaser episode. Yes.
Right. The Sun Chaser from Fire and Blood. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Historical parallels when it comes to early European exploration of the West, links to historical writings, and how accurate it was or can be portrayed, and how something like that relayed back to the people on mainland, the stories and fables that get relayed back. This was something that happened throughout history. All the fantastical tales that sailors like to say and then up each other at the local tavern or the pub. Yeah. It happened a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure it does, which is what's given rise to a lot of those sort of like nautical legends, right?
Yeah, I mean, fishermen, every time they tell the story about the fish gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. My coworkers and friends and I tend to say, things change, people don't.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of wisdom in those few words.
Yes. When I go through historical writings, it's funny to find a little pettiness, little saltiness here and there, gossiping and attitudes, and it's similar attitudes that we see today.
Well, in our Slack group, you have a few times posted some really beautiful, like old maps or like that type of thing.
Yes.
And I still haven't seen the part where it says "Here be dragons."
No, when you have some kind of creature that that someone on land has no concept of, and you're trying to describe it, you get some really crazy visual representation of, not saying that a lot of sea creatures aren't insane looking anyway, but when you see some of the images on these maps, you're just thinking, okay, I've never seen something like that on National Geographic. Yeah.
I think the one you posted was supposed to be of a beaver, right? And it looked like
yes.
a demonic, like
a
bear or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really strange.
Yes.
But I couldn't do a better job, so.
It was early 17th century map of New England and the New World. And it was meant to emphasize the source of beaver. And if you're someone who's never seen a beaver and it's being described to you, and the image that is repeated in this map and a lot of the illustrations, it is horrifying.
Yes.
Yes.
Like
it's often referred to as the Beaver Map. Yes, and it's by Henry Moll, Moll.
My favorite thing about it was the stance they had them in, because They had them bipedal with their arms out, like.
And they were holding the wood like they're just marching off with the wood.
Mhm.
That is alarming.
Yeah.
Right? You just these big bipedal creatures that are just, they can just take the trees off in their jaws and
They were
bite.
They were
Yeah.
not the adorable thing we picture. Yeah.
No, it's horrifying. I'm like, why would anybody want to come over here and fight the beavers?
Well, can make a lot of money. Beaver hides, their glands. I don't want to say anal glands.
Caster.
But you already
But it was-
did.
Yeah, but
it literally already
Yes.
happened.
Yes, I was told it was their anal glands, but it's not actually their anal glands. It's something close, physically close.
Okay.
So how many more times do you think you can say it, Callie?
So yeah, I think
I don't-
I'm sorry. What, Kelly? One more time. I didn't quite
Anal
get that.
glands, anal,
Oh,
anal
okay.
glands. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Good.
By the
Fun
way,
fact, people, artificial vanilla flavor is made from beaver caster. Take that to the bank.
Yeah.
Heard it here first.
I wanted to do something really quick. John,
Hold on.
Make the screen big.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
so it's a first edition from 1989. So this would be something that I would grab before running out of the house, along with other books that are mostly reference, and they're very rare. So it would, as far as a lot of the fiction that I have, although I do have a very old Arthur Conan Doyle, a Sherlock story, but I would probably grab this along with some of the rarer books that I have.
I think that's a good answer.
I can just buy everything else.
Right on.
Okay.
By the
All
way,
right, Amy, your books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what-
so
what-
it's 5, right? Was the last question? Well, first would be this, because I've shown a couple of you guys this on the Zoom Hangout. This is from the 1940s. It was the author did not approve this English translation. They didn't get a real one until after he died. And so it is an unauthorized translation of a story called Rickshaw Boy by Lao She. I can type that in the chat, obviously, because that just sounds like nothing to your ear, probably. But so he's one of the most famous authors of modern Chinese literature. And the ending, it completely changes the ending, because the ending is not very happy. And it was the 1940s, and they thought, but a war's going on. We want people to be happy. So they made it a happy ending, and it totally changes the whole plot. And so I kind of like it for that. Probably another thing, I spent quite a bit on a collection of H.P. Lovecraft stories, and it has a really nice cover and like golden edges. So I'd probably grab that as well. And then probably this is gonna be a really geeky answer. I have 2 anthologies that are really big, and they'd be heavy, but I would grab those just because, once again, they cost me a lot of money. And then I probably grab one of the Aswaf books. Probably, I'm with John on this, A Storm of Swords I would grab. So
Kelly, that copy of The Hobbit there, that was the graphic novel, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I actually bought a new edition of that a couple of years ago, and it's really neat just seeing the illustrations there, because I'm always interested in different interpretations of Tolkien's work, and so that's really cool. I asked that because Dan was, I think he thought that was a first edition of the book itself. Yeah.
No, this is from 1989.
First edition of the graphic novel.
Yes. First printing.
Nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah, last night I shared something ridiculous on our Zoom meeting. I'm talking about a Marvel comic that I showed John, and he was just like, "Why does this exist?" So I thought I would show him something just a little bit more like legit, just this beauty.
Yeah, that's again another example of what's great about our Slack group, guys. We were doing a Zoom last night, and Kelly and I were just geeking out about comics and stuff, and I think Leaf was getting quite bored with us as a result. But
Leaf never gets bored with us. She's wonderful. Anything we have to say is interesting to her.
Yeah, Leaf is great.
Yeah, Leaf is supportive. Like,
Leaf is actually how I found you guys, because I was in a History of Westeros stream. And she goes, hey, I'm headed over to Here Be Dragons. And I thought, oh, that's a cool name. What's that? So
She's like the best promoter of streams.
Yeah.
She's the best promoter.
Like
Yes.
she keeps like if you are part of the Slack group and you are not aware that there's a stream going on, Leaf is going to post a link to that stream
that's right.
almost without fail.
Become
And-
super aware of every stream in the world. We're gonna chat in all the streams.
And
I
she'll
think Leaf really holds the fam down, you know?
yeah, I really think so. Like she shows up to all the Zoom chats and she's there the whole time and she doesn't speak just a whole lot, but man, like she always comes with the wisdom. Leaf, we love you. Okay, so Amy, when did you know you were a nerd? What was that thing that made you go, "Oh, I belong with this group of people"?
It was two things, I think, if I'm allowed two things, Stephen.
Sure. This is the story about what got you here.
One was in elementary school, and I loved Pokemon cards. And I loved the show, and I loved the games. And, you know, I remember a Game Boy and then a Game Boy Advanced, you know. And my mom, I don't know if she remembers this, but for my birthday, one of the things that she got me was a book that was basically a Pokedex that had all the info on all of the Pokemon. And I studied that. This is probably why I became a grad student. I studied that like it was a textbook, and I was obsessed with finding out, being able to remember which type the Pokemon was and what moves they could do, you know. And so that was one thing that probably tipped me off I was a geek. And then another thing was X-Men comics, not necessarily in paper, but through Marvel Unlimited online. One of the first things that I did religiously online was in middle school. My mom got me a subscription to Marvel Unlimited, and I read nothing but X-Men. No offense to the other comics in the Marvel universe, but X-Men is hands down the best. So I really enjoyed. I would find myself losing hours in reading comics and eventually when I got older in reading books and novels. So that really tipped me off that I am indeed quite nerdy.
Yeah.
So, and then I later became, speaking of, I think it was Anna earlier asked about being an otaku. I was worse than an otaku. I was a weeaboo, which is kind of a more negative term for a white girl that's into anime. So that was a phase, but luckily it led me to Chinese and you know, and I still love obviously Japanese culture. So I'm glad that there are things in American pop culture that can make Americans kind of relate to East Asia. So yeah, I think that's a long-winded answer, Stephen, but I think that's when I knew I was a nerd.
That is not long-winded nor short-winded. That is like just right-winded, if you will. You hit the Goldilocks zone on that one. Because I mean, the truth of your answer is the truth of your answer.
Ooh, Voice of Geekdom actually has a really good question. If you want to pick that up, I might answer about my favorite era. So I don't know if he's asking like 80s, 90s, that kind of thing. So if it was era, I would say probably 90s X-Men. But if it's arcs, like story arcs, I'm not sure when this happened, but the Inferno arc in the comics, I don't think it's usually depicted or adapted into shows or movies because it's a very weird arc. It's basically where all of New York gets demonically possessed and things start becoming monsters. And I think it's like horror and the X-Men at the same time. And I love horror. So that's probably my favorite arc. But as far as my favorite era, probably just 90s X-Men in general. So
Claremont for me.
Oh, if you're talking about, if we're going there, then absolutely Claremont. If we're just going by the writers, then yeah, definitely Claremont. So, yeah.
Kelly and I were talking X-Men a lot last night. And though I was not as much of a comic person as a kid, I definitely came to X-Men through the animated series. And one thing I was into was collecting cards and stuff. And I was showing this off last night. I wasn't able to actually find the cards that I collected, but I found a picture of some of them, and these are the ones right here. So, but yeah, and I was also a collector of old X-Men animated series videotapes as well. Yeah. These come from Pizza Hut back in the day. But yeah, so while I'm not the same, I didn't share the same level of, geekiness, I did have my stuff, and the three of us, I've been delighted to discover have this love of X-Men. So.
Well, and I've told you this before, John, but one of the things I love about X-Men, probably the best thing I love, is that it's a team, right? And you have people coming in and out and growing up together and trying to deal with relationships. And so many other comics, it was about one usually white man and maybe a sidekick, and we may throw a woman in there if we feel like it. But the team, you know, it has that core, or the original 5, and then they obviously add more, you know, of multiple multiple people who have different personalities and different experiences. Oh, dang, I missed Voice of... Oh, no. Yeah. I agree with Voice of Geekdom. Definitely the 90s, the cartoon, the animated series that John's talking about is the closest to the comics as far as adaptation, which obviously automatically makes it the best, in my opinion. So,
I really like Peadar's question here. What mutant power would each of us choose to have?
I'm guessing he means within. We can't just make up our own. Like there has to be a mutant who has had it. Okay.
Steal one from an existing X-Man, from an existing mutant.
Oh.
Okay. Do you have your answer, Kelly? Can I think, or do you need me to go first?
Awesome. Telekinesis.
Okay. Going the Jean Grey route.
Yes. I've got Dark Phoenix and regular Phoenix Funko Pops right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say Jean Grey, but I want a different answer from Kelly. So I'm going to go with Kitty Pryde's powers, where you can go walk through walls and make yourself, basically not just invisible, but you can actually go through things. That would be really nice.
Kate? Yes.
Oh my God, please don't get me started on Wolverine. I will not. The whole thing would just be how I don't like that he's the only focus of all the shows.
I had one. I ranted on that as well. I already got that out of my system.
Okay, yeah. As far as favorite character, though, I don't think anyone's asked that. Storm, hands down, is my favorite character, and the writers always did her wrong, but she was always a good character, you know. And they never quite got to the depth that I think her character could have. But I love her, and the team wouldn't work without Storm. So.
That's who superpowers I would have.
Right. So control the weather.
Give me all the elemental powers, man. Just give me that lightning.
You want to be the Avatar. You want to bend all 4 of the elements.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like everybody, as evidenced by, the fact that a couple of people have said this already, everybody wants the telekinesis. So it's like Jean Grey. But if I leave that aside, I'll go with something similar, which is Magneto's powers. And part of that is just because when I watched the animated series growing up, Magneto was such a cool character, and that was one of my first exposures to a villain who thinks he's actually the hero of the story. And yes. I just like the way he used his powers and the way it was depicted on screen. So yeah, I'll take the master of magnetism's powers.
Well, Kelly, would you be a
master? He was an absolute master of his gift. You could tell that he'd broken it down just through the science of things, just how and what he could manipulate with just that power alone. It's just.
I also want to introduce you to 60s era Magneto, because he also, for a little bit, has powers of magnetism that make him magnetic as in attractive, and women are into him. So,
yeah.
Also, Kelly, would you be okay with the telekinesis comes the telepathy, though? Would you be okay with hearing other people's thoughts constantly? Would you want to just get better at it or block it out? Or
if I could focus it a little bit more, yeah. I think I would have struggled initially with the raw power of it all, but yeah.
Aaron, I almost said
that's like a double-edged sword.
He can't go very far. Nightcrawler can't. That's why I didn't say. He can only go a couple of miles, and he has to see where he's going. It's too many limits.
Aaron, the first time I cried from a comic book was his death in Second Coming.
We won't talk.
Sorry, I don't mean sorry to spoil that, by the way, but
hey, spoiler alert.
I think that's one of the few times I actually threw a comic book across the room. Yeah, I was a mess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like you all have missed the most obvious answer. Rogue.
Because then you can take all of them, but only temporarily, Steven.
Only
Yeah.
temporarily. And is the juice worth the squeeze? Because I love Rogue. I love her as a person.
She is a tortured woman.
Yeah, well, I'm not really touchy-feely anyway, and this just gives me like a better excuse to be that way. But no,
But you also get people's memories too. So
yeah, that's
if you absorbed like the memories of a murderer, you'd have their terrible memories.
all right. Then I'll just go with Mystique then.
I didn't mean to make your answer.
No, that's
do you, man. Rogue is a badass, and I wouldn't blame you for wanting to, have that power.
She is amazing.
Right on.
She is one of my favorites. Yes, but I do feel
with those gloves.
a very large degree of empathy
And she
for
can fly too.
What was that, John?
I said she can fly too. So
yes.
Yeah. Oh, Quicksilver. Yeah. Super speed would be nice, Scott.
Yeah.
That I would finally get places. I'm a very slow walker, even when I try to not be. So it would be nice just to go quicker in general. But if you're, I don't know if you, as long as I don't have to retcon and then, as long as they don't have to retcon me to be Magneto's daughter, then I'm fine. Because they were like, oh, wait, Quicksilver, no, he's their kid. And then they kind of re-retconned that out. So, yeah. X-Men are the kings of retconning. It's great.
Yeah. But, I mean, would Magneto really be that bad of a dad to have?
I mean, as long as when he's gray area, but when he goes full dark side, maybe not. But gray area Magneto's best.
Yeah.
You would certainly embrace your mutant abilities very early. You wouldn't be held to shame or hide who you are and what you can do. So
I did
having
enjoy
as
House
a
of M.
cheerleader dad, maybe not the worst thing.
House of M was a wicked story. I really loved that. I loved that take on an alternate universe where there's a few people that are aware that something's not right after Scarlet Witch. All of a sudden, we get like a royal family, and it's the Magnuses. That was wicked. I loved that.
I love alternate universe kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Marvel can go a little too far with it sometimes, but sometimes it could be really good.
Oh yeah, it's fun to play in another universe. You know, like what
Definitely.
if? All those what if, if
Anna's question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Who's the worst mutant dad? Oh, wow. Xavier, did Xavier ever have a child? Because I would say him automatically. He's actually an egotistical butthole, honestly.
He is creepy.
But I think they had a thing where the universe had a kid with Moira McTaggart, but I don't know if that, I don't remember. But
Logan.
I would go with Xavier. And he's the metaphorical dad of the X-Men. Even though he's the founder of the X-People, he is actually a narcissist and not really a good person.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally named him after himself. Oh, you and I could talk all about Xavier at sometime, John. I'll let you know all my thoughts.
Like the early years of X-Men, man, I cannot stand Professor X.
Well, and there's one era where he goes to space and he's like, later, guys. And then Magneto actually leads the New Mutants, which is cool. But other than that, it's like, where are you going? You have responsibilities. You can't just go off to space with your Scottish girlfriend. Like, it was just weird.
John, that reminds me, New Mutants. How many more years do we have to wait till that comes out?
It's coming out
2029.
August 28th this year.
Okay. I thought it was June.
I hope they just give up on the theater thing and just put it online.
We'll see. Exactly.
Yeah. It's because they're talking about gradually reopening theaters also, and it's like I don't want to go to a movie theater.
If I can watch it at home, yeah.
Even if they
reopen local drive-in, if you have a drive-in anywhere close at hand, go there. It is an experience you will never forget.
Everyone, Tony Potato's my boyfriend. Hi, baby.
Oh, hi, Tony.
Hi.
Yeah, that's not Tony, Steven.
So the blob is the he's trolling.
So the block, I don't know. With Tony, you really never know. I intentionally like to date men that are so sarcastic that I never know if they're being serious or not. It's a real turn on for me. So
Also,
Well,
great screening.
I met him during your birthday Zoom call, and
yes,
he was delightful. I mean, it's hard to get to know somebody on a Zoom call where you're playing a bunch of games, but he was delightful, and we're happy to have you, Tony, or Mr. Potato if you prefer.
Yeah,
yes,
as I recall, we didn't have that much in common that we were able to talk on, except for Mad Max Fury Road.
He likes, he's a
on
sports guy. That's why, John. If you liked any type of sports, he could talk to you. Any type. He loves sports.
Yeah, no.
The only sports ball I like is soccer now.
It's like from the IT Crowd, that British show. I don't know if you've seen it, Kelly. And they go, "Oh,
are you kidding me?"
Ball, and everyone is clapping. Oh, look, they have made a sports point again. It's just like that's kind of how I feel about.
No. Moss is like, great. Now he's kicked it over there. That deserves an applause for some reason. Now he kicked it over there, and they're clapping again, and they've kicked the ball out. Yeah,
In the span of just a couple minutes, we've gone from a topic in which I can talk endlessly to a topic which I'm like, huh?
Being an Anglophile, yes, there's a lot of Britishisms and British pop culture that I love.
A bit of an Anglophile.
Yes,
that's one of the
Aaron
things.
knows.
So I actually have a question, Stephen, if you don't mind me taking over for a second.
Go ahead.
Favorite Aswaf character?
Amy?
Hold on.
I know, right? Let me just dominate. No. Favorite Aswaf character for anyone?
Me? Sansa Stark.
Yeah. Sansa. All right.
She has had the most growth within the story up to this point, I believe, and will continue to have the most growth moving forward. I believe.
Peadar.
What did he say? I missed it. I was thinking. Oh my gosh.
It's nautical acquisition and redistribution.
It's legitimate salvage.
They were privateers, okay? Privateers.
Legitimate.
That's if you've got the permission slip.
Yeah, if it says it's okay for you to pirate.
Yeah.
What about you, John? Favorite Song of Ice and Fire character?
Song of Ice and Fire or Game of Thrones? Because the answer is actually different in
Song of Ice and Fire.
Song of Ice and Fire. It's Jon Snow.
Okay, that tells me something about the book Jon Snow then, which is you didn't care for his adaptation. Interesting.
Well, it's just because a lot of the characters are very different in the show just because they aged up a lot of characters, and I did not picture, curly-haired, bearded Kit Harington when I was reading the book, because he's a younger character in the books, and because we're allowed to be inside his head a lot in the books, and Kit Harington had to kind of grow into the role, because I think it was hard to get a read on his thoughts a lot in the early seasons. So for me, that's a large part of it. In the show, I mean, it's my boy Sean Bean. I love me some Ned Stark.
What about you, Kelly?
Brienne forever. Even though Asha Greyjoy, of course, would be an obvious choice, but Brienne is she's like a goddess, something that I could never be, as loyal and brave as she is. It's just an incredible level of good that I cannot reach. I've tried with some of my D&D characters to reach that level of good. Stephen and I haven't indulged too much in D&D talk, but one day.
Yeah, I think we could really take this conversation the rest of the way home with just D&D, but I think we'll avoid going too far. Although I will ask you, what a language!
Oh God!
Yeah, I saw that, and I chose not to. I chose not to acknowledge it.
Peadar is in the chat, like taking my place right now.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah.
Well,
Someone had to step up when you're not there, Kelly. Come
I
on.
guess. Yeah. That's terrible.
but Kelly,
Well, you guys made it really
what
hard,
alignment-
but go ahead.
Steven?
I was just going to ask you, what alignment do you consider yourself to be?
Chaotic
It's
neutral?
okay.
Really, chaotic neutral.
I mean, overall, as far as like favorite house, if you guys want to cover favorite houses, I am House Greyjoy, and I also belong in Slytherin. So these are kind of these kind of relate a lot to the villains, unfortunately. But chaotic neutral. I'm playing 2 characters right now. One is chaotic good and one is chaotic evil.
Well,
I
that
am
balances everything out.
I am personally chaotic good. But like, I love that you said chaotic neutral. I really do. Because that is the hardest alignment in Dungeons and Dragons to play correctly.
Yeah.
Because people want to play it like the Joker, like a cackling madman sometimes or something, and I'm like, that's not what, or like they're just random for random's sake, and I'm like, that's not really chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a lot more subtle, I guess.
Yeah, one of my best friends in college would only play chaotic neutral characters. Only. I mean, she was awesome, and she really, really did it well. So it was even like,
Dan, I like it.
chaotic.
Chaotic squared. Chaotic squared sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she was always like making these little decision rolls. Like, oh, I really want to just stick it to him. Out for kind of like what's in her best interest, not so much what's in the group. She would always be fighting against what was in the group's best interest and what was in her best interest. And when they aligned, everything was great.
Yeah.
When they didn't align, there might be trouble.
It's okay, Jess. We will indoctrinate you.
You will be assimilated.
Yeah.
One of us.
So, Nessie and Steven, your favorite Asawaf.
Well,
I already answered.
Yes.
Sansa Stark.
Okay, Steven answered first.
That's right.
He took
Yes.
Sansa, and you took Brienne, and they're my 2 favorites. So I guess I'll have to come in and roll number 3. And I think it would have to be Bran, because I mean, I am so tuned in to the magical aspect of A Song of Ice and Fire, and Bran's chapters are the most magical. So, I mean, I love Brienne from her journey, her strength of character. She is someone that I completely look up to, but could never reach that level of, lawful goodness. Can't quite get there. And of course, Sansa, I resonate so much with her, just her journey because I was a 13-year-old girl and shit went sideways. So I really, really can relate to that. I love the way that George writes Bran's chapters. They're so, especially the later chapters, they're just so spooky. And I'm pulling from this kid, I really want all of Ned Stark's lessons to land home with him like they have with the other kids. I'm pulling for him. I mean, he's doing some hinky stuff right now. I still have hope, because all the other characters, all the other kids have done some very shady things. But I think at heart, they're still, the values and the love and that Ned and Catelyn instilled in them are going to pull them through. I've got to believe that. If not, I'm just going to burn all my books. Burn them.
I'm scared of Jess now. Oh man.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, chatters, we've got about 10 minutes left with these lovely ladies, our special guests. So if you have anything you'd like to ask about Chinese monkey gods or boats or history or anime, these two are going to have some kind of answer for you.
Wait, 10 minutes. We're not going for 14 hours?
No, we are not going for 14
Oh,
hours.
this isn't the Zoom thing. Oh man.
No.
All right.
That will be
No, we'll
private
be
and later
continuing
on.
I
that
had my
later.
jug of water ready.
We're
Water?
gonna take a
Oh
potty
yeah,
break
yeah. That's,
after
that's
this.
what I got too.
It's-
Yeah.
So by all means, if you have questions for us, put them down below. Kelly, Amy, if there's anything you'd like to ask any of us, feel free. I like this one from Dan, who was on in the first half, voice of Geekdom.
Oh.
For Kelly, how did you become an Anglophile?
Well, I've always loved English history, just kind of naturally. For those of you that are unaware, I can't say specifically where I work, but I do work at a living history museum, and I work in historical clothing. I sail, rig, and maintain wooden tall ships as well. So I do talk a lot about early American history, which of course includes a lot of English history. And I know I might look Irish, but I am mostly English, English and Scottish. But my family actually came from Derbyshire in the Midlands in England. I got into British pop culture. Do I want to blame Graham Norton? I've always loved English comedy. I can't believe we haven't talked about Blackadder. I like British humor and British comedy. I got into British panel shows, and then that was kind of the submersion into British pop culture and Anglophile. I was telling John I love Downton Abbey. I'm trying to get John to watch it. And
Yep, it's on the list.
Yes, it's on the list.
Right on.
I'm sure there's more to it, but I actually only watch British news. Just because I have access to it. Yeah, I only watch British news, so I'm more aware of what's going on over there than here sometimes.
It sounds so soothing.
In
honestly.
in the History of Westeros chat, I think it was Will Moss. He was, after he told me he was in London, I was asking him a little bit more in detail about what was going on over there in reference to just current events, and he was like, "You're very aware or conscientious of what's going on over here." I said, "I only watch British news."
Right.
That's all I said.
Well, let's address Anna's question here, which I think is actually a really great question. Hard magic or soft magic system. I personally, if I had to lean one way or the other, I would lean towards a hard magic system. But I also like there to be enough wiggle room that I can be surprised by the things you can and cannot necessarily do in your magic system. So I like a hard magic system, but with just enough softness that you can blur the line around the edges of what it's capable of.
Nessie?
I didn't quite know what the difference was, but your answer kind of helped me, Stephen.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
So like a
yeah,
hard magic system.
I was
a
afraid it was.
system that has rules, or do you want a magic
I
system?
I was
has-
afraid it was a video game thing. So
No.
I
Yeah.
got really nervous.
Lord of the Rings is a very soft magic system. Like you do not know what the limits or the constraints are. You know, you don't understand how the mechanics work. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a harder magic system, but it's not fully hard magic system because then you get things like metal bending and lava bending and they can do all kinds of like intricate things and you don't necessarily understand what all the limits are, but it does operate within a certain set of constraints. But then you have something like Mistborn, which is a very hard magic system. You have this ability, which means you can push metal away, or you have this ability, which means you can pull metal towards you. You know, their magic is very structured and limited.
No, I think I prefer more of a soft magic system then, if that's what the guidelines are. No, I like to have, like, magic is chaos and given form and shape and energy. And with chaos, you really can't know all the outcomes or what the laws are, because there are no laws. Okay, really, at the end of the day, it's just your will versus the chaos and how well you can shape it into what you want it to do. And it would always be like a battle of wills. So I'm thinking, no, I prefer more of a soft magic system.
Anybody else have an answer for that?
Give me that wild magic. Yes.
I definitely agree with Nessie on this one. I really like to read Ursula Le Guin and her Earthsea series. There's the ideas that magic comes from the true names and knowing true names, but you never actually learn what the names of things are. So you yourself, are completely kind of blind to how if this magic were real, how you could use it. And I definitely prefer it that way. And it can kind of be a little silly when you know too much. And I think also George has talked about how many times why would anyone raise an army, right? If a country had a team of great magicians that could, summon winds to blow your army away. And I think that kind of sums up how I feel about magic, is that if it's too all powerful and if it's too easily known, then what is the significance of it? Why is it special? And why wouldn't humans have been wiped out long ago and magicians ruled the world, right? So these kinds of things. So that's how I lean on the soft magic. But at the same time, I do like actual runes actually showing me the shape of what a spell would be. I do like that. I do like structure. I don't want it to be all over the place, but I definitely want the humans to have a chance, or what other creatures might be about in whatever world you're talking about.
No,
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's less about how powerful it is and more about how well defined the limitations are.
Yeah.
And that, I like the idea that you can do as little or as much as you can wrestle out of it. I guess is what I'm saying. Kind of like how, just for example, I really like the way the magical system in, say, The Witcher, the TV series worked, because that was all about controlling chaos, and some were better at it than others, and some were better as just being a conduit of chaos, so to speak. So I kind of like that type of a magical system.
Carl, I will answer that question for you in just a moment, okay? We will get to it at the very end. If anybody else wants to answer Anna's question about hard versus soft magic, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, soft magic, definitely. I think it's what I like a lot about Lord of the Rings, is that there's magic in the world, but it's kind of elusive, and the people aren't really quite sure of what powers the wizards have. Like Gandalf, he uses magic, but a lot of what he does is counsel others and try and move pieces. And when he does bring out magic, he can be very powerful, but it's not like, okay, let's bring out the wizard to do this and he'll take care of this for us using this spell. So I like that about the story.
Right on. John, Shade of the Evening asks if you're doing anything with Justin anytime soon. I assume they're talking about Justin Thomas from Top Shelf Fandom.
Yeah, actually, I haven't spoken to anybody about this, but he's actually gotten in touch with me, and he's interested in doing some Tolkien discussions, which I was kind of astounded to get the message from him. That would be just awesome. So I haven't gotten back to him yet. So, if he is listening to this, this might be the first time he hears my reaction to it. But that's very exciting to me, and that would be cool to do.
Right on. Well, I only have one last thing. Amy, you're going to be back real soon to talk about stuff, but I wanted to get something out of Kelly.
Okay,
Kelly,
yes.
I just really have one request for you. Just the one.
Okay.
I just want you to say one word.
She said this to me just recently, just so you know.
Sanfar put Quingis go get it, Quingorobot Sensilo go go go.
Yeah.
Sanfar put Quingis go get it, Quingorobot Sensilo go go go.
I think you read that faster than my eyes tracked across.
Right. To me, it's Landfair, Gwyn, Gilgoggery, Twernab, Dauber, Blue. There's 4 L's in a row. What is this?
Yes, because the double L is the sound. So
Anyway, thank you so much for that.
There is a song you can learn on YouTube that teaches you how to say it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Welsh
check it out.
L is the devil. Okay, the Welsh double L is the devil.
Amy, did you post? Dwi'n eisiau dysgu Cymraeg. So yeah, that'll be my Welsh. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you just everybody just realized you got genuine cred.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Peadar, I do want to address something Peadar said. I do absolutely love Irish and English and Scottish comedians, and it's open. The panel shows have opened my eyes. But yeah, Graham Norton actually Irish. Jimmy Carr is actually Irish, and Dara O'Brien, who hosts Mock the Week, which is a show I love, is also Irish. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I don't have anything else. Does anybody else have anything that we need to make sure that we talk about before we sign off?
Well, I just wanted to say, Stephen, this is about the community, but we would not all be here without you.
Yes.
And so you brought us together. You're the reason that we have this great group of people. And so I know you don't like to necessarily to brag on yourself as much as I want to brag on you. So, Stephen, you're wonderful, and your channel has created such a community that's really tight and really positive. And I think that's not the easiest on the internet. So
it's not.
Yeah.
But it's also worth doing.
Last night I was with Stephen when we were on the Zoom chat at that ungodly hour. I kept talking about like an orbit of friends, but I'm super stoked to be here that you asked me to do this.
Yeah, I'm so honored. I'm super happy not only to you and to Amy, but to Dan and Kate and Aaron who we had in the first half. Again, all the people that have sort of like it's just been a dream come true for me. As I've said a few times on our Zoom calls, like this, I am having the time of my life getting to share my nerdy passions with people. So yeah. And that is a good segue for me to talk to Carl Karsnark about Slack.
Yes.
Okay, so Slack, it's kind of like Discord. It is a private. So our group is called Here Be Dragons. It is by invitation only. If you would like to be invited, I just need your email address. You can send it to me. You can send it to Nessie. You can send it to John. DM me on Twitter. Send me a Facebook Messenger message. I'm even on Instagram. Or if you know anybody who has been on the stream today and you have their social media, but not mine, get with them. They'll get with me. We'll take care of it. And it's just a curated bunch of us nerdy people who are all really enjoyed getting to know each other. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
Yeah, and specifically about the Slack too, the blue whatever bar. I get really mad when I go to sleep too soon and I miss great chats on the virtual bar. So
yeah.
So
I have super FOMO with Slack. It's like, oh, they're talking without me.
Yeah.
Amy is the one that came to get me. I do imagine
coming to get you,
Kelly. Yeah, because there was a very active Slack conversation happening, and I was being involved. included in it, but I didn't know. And Amy
Yeah, it
messaged me.
was about England, and I was like, "Where is this woman? Why is she not here?"
You're like,
So
Amy,
I messaged her on Facebook, and I was like, "Why are you not in the HBD
You're like,
Slack? Like, it's
yeah, hey,
lit. Come
the
on.
Slack is lit. You need to get in
Slack
there.
is lit."
He's having
Yeah.
a lot of fun. And Leaf brings up or Lady Leaf Underhill brings up a really good point. We have organized quite a few Zoom meetings now that where we're all just hanging out and getting to know each other. And we're, the people within the Slack we're all forging tighter bonds with each other, getting to know each other better. This stream is just one of the things that's born out of that. And if you want to be a part of that, we're welcoming to everybody who's not an asshole. Okay?
Yeah, don't be an asshole.
Right. Don't do that.
That is, yeah.
And
don't be an asshole.
it will be good.
Yeah.
I can probably wait on this, but so you going to talk about stuff we have coming up again, or because there was something else I wanted to mention, but I'll hold off.
Okay, actually, no, John. Now is the time. Go ahead. What do you got coming up next?
Okay, aside from my stream coming up with Emma about Carol next week, there is also some other stuff on the horizon, which I'll go ahead and mention since we have present company here. Amy is going to be coming on the week after, and this coming one, along with my good friend Jared Kozel. We are going to have a very shameless Keira Knightley standing.
I'm already parched with the thirst, John.
Yeah, this is going to be a Knights of Keira only live stream for you guys. So
yeah, and really, I don't even
safe space really for us to feel accepted.
Honestly, I don't even care if nobody shows up. It's just like an excuse for us to sort of talk. And also on the horizon is I talked with Kelly about this. And I've also spoken with the lovely Lauren Shakes of Thrones in the past about this. We are going to. It's not scheduled yet, but we will be doing a Master and Commander.
I cannot wait for this one. This is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, it's going to be so great. Master and Commander. I love it so much that it's the movie that. There was no way I was ever going to root for anything other than Return of the King at the Oscars in 2003. But honest to God, like if Master and Commander had won Best Picture, I couldn't have been too upset because I love it that much. So that'll be really. Go ahead.
That was who had a good year? Billy Boyd.
Yeah.
Because he was in both.
And I showed you last night, I actually have my collector's edition DVD of Master and Commander signed by him. So
yes.
Yeah. So that's going to be a great stream when we do it. Like I said, not scheduled yet, but it will be coming up.
Right on. Nessie, what do you got coming up?
Well, I'm going to be continuing for the rest of the foreseeable future. We'll be doing the Magic Menagerie. So Emma this week. And every 2 weeks is about what I can manage with like work, life, and the, research that I have to put into my streams. So every 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from there, I'm going to yank Amy up and she's going to come on my, on my live stream.
Oh no, talking about my essay, whatever will I do? You're really just asking a lot of me, Nessie.
I know you hate it, but I really appreciate you making the sacrifice. So, and
I'm going to struggle nonetheless.
And somewhere in the foreseeable future after that, we're going to have Dragons Part 2 because there was so much information from Dragon Stream Part 1 that we never even got to. So we're going to be...
When is the
Dragon
Hot
Stream
Dogs Part 1?
Hot dog is a dragon, and so is a duck. I want t-shirts with that on there.
Sorry, John. I'm sorry.
I mean, is it a sandwich, though? This is annoying me. I don't know.
All I can see
Oh, man.
is a hot dog with dragon wings, and it's flying around. That's it.
That's just the worst question anyone has ever asked me is if a hot dog a sandwich. I want to throw things across the room. I don't. It's just so frustrating. I don't know why.
Well, just content yourself with the hot dog.
We'll get into that soon. Join us in the Slack group.
Some of that
if you
good
wanna weigh
hashtag
in on whether or
content.
not a hot dog is a sandwich.
To be continued
That's
in the Slack.
hashtag content I have come here for. So
Right. All right, Del. Well, so join Nessie on Wednesday for Unicorns and Elephants. Join with special guest Emma. Join John on Thursday for Carol with special guest Emma. And then coming up soon, Amy's going to be making her appearances. It sounds like on both channels as well. Kelly, you need to step up your game.
Yeah, no.
But in all
How
honesty,
we get on it?
Commander, man, that's coming up. When? Soon.
right. And then next Sunday is I Know That Nerd with Pat Sponoggle, who is a
Yay.
true like paragon of gentlemanhood. Somebody who I hold in very high esteem and who I aspire to be more like. And we will see what happens when you put lawful good and chaotic good in the same room for 2 hours. So
We
looking
do that all
forward to
the
that.
time. We do that all the time.
Right.
Really?
But yeah, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. And week after that, I believe, is season 1 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars animated series. So 2 weeks from today, Star Wars: The Clone Wars animated series season 1. Season 1.
All right.
We'll probably be covering like a season a month, so that not everybody, you don't have to cram it all.
Yeah, and actually, more incentive to get in the Slack. I've actually been thinking about, it's probably not feasible to try through the whole season, but I do want to do watch parties of maybe some selected episodes for each season.
Oh yes, there's that too. The epic watch
the
party.
Slack,
Yes.
the Slack has everything. I know that it seems like we're beating you over the head with it, but we're going to beat you over the head some more with it because it's the best thing. It's so much fun.
Yeah. By the way, Slack.
Oh yeah, and also Slack.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also to
Slack.
answer Courtney's question, yes, Mary will be there for the Clone Wars, which we're super excited about.
Yes.
Mr. Mary.
Yay!
All right, y'all. Well, I think that's the end. And again, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Kate, Aaron, and Dan, who were on earlier. Thank you to everyone who came out to the chat, not only to support me and Nessie and John, but the rest of these community members that we wanted to give a platform to.
And I just want to shamelessly say, because the stream was so fantastic, please share this far and wide, because
Right.
I want everybody to see this and see these lovely faces that we've had on, and get to hear them speak, and so I want this everywhere on the internet.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, so
All the same. Yeah.
Dragon
All the
Trek
way.
got a question in just under the wire here, so I'm going to take
Wow.
it. Would I recommend the Wheel of Time, and why? Would I recommend it? Yes, it's a classic. Although I haven't read it in forever. But so I don't even remember it. But would I recommend it? Yes. Why? Because it's foundational to modern fantasy.
I haven't read it, but I've got plenty of time, so I guess I'll go ahead and do that.
Oh my gosh, John.
Well, our good friend Courtney Mazza, who is in the chat, she is a big Wheel of Time fan, and she is constantly recommending it. So, but it is a commitment. It is a long-term
12 books
commitment.
is a lot.
Yeah, 12 books is a lot, and they're not little books. They're books. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. Nessie. Nessie?
oh, what? Yes,
Oh my God, Sean. Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
All right. If we keep going, we'll keep going forever. Hold on. I'm going to let you.
I thought we had
That's
13 more
Ashley?
hours to go.
Oh, yes, that is
Oh,
actually looking nuts.
look at
My
that.
husband would just have a fit
Love
over
it.
that. Yeah.
All
We
right,
actually,
guys.
Kelly and I actually got to meet in real time and space. It was wonderful.
Yeah. So
we had a
jealous.
great time together,
And
and
we were all
I'm sorry,
extremely
everybody
jealous.
else.
What is
Yeah.
this IRL meeting thing that you guys are doing without us? Oh,
Real
how dare you?
I mean, it happens from time to
I mean,
time.
yeah, it's your strawberry wine. So I don't like sweet wine, but Nessie, anything you make, I will drink. So
I gotta figure out how to ship this
I
stuff.
cannot help it. I am naughty.
oh my god, yes.
All
The
right,
puns
so
continue.
Wait. Hold on. One more thing. I do want to say Dune, haven't read it yet, but it's on my list for this year. It will get read. Obviously, I talked about my Blade Runner 2049 stream earlier. Denis Villeneuve is directing the movie, so I'm psyched for it, even though I've never read it. So it's definitely going to be read soon. And who knows, maybe that'll be my new obsession.
maybe. So
Well worth it.
to everyone who joined us on screen and in the chat today, again, thank you so much for coming out. We look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you back next week. So, but until then, if we don't cut this off now, we'll just keep going and laughing at each other. So, you know,
What's wrong with that, Steven?
I've got to pee. That's what's wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
John's
So,
taking us off track for once. Yep.
we love you guys. Thank
We
you
love you
so
too.
much for coming out.
Thank
And
you
know
so
what it
much.
is,
Thank you,
guys.
everybody.
You know what
Yeah.
it is. Until next time, peace
Be excellent to each other.
and be excellent to each
Excellent
other.
to each other.
All right, y'all. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.